mes amours. We are back again with our friend Jules of Imagery by Jules. Hi, Greg.
How are you? How's it going, Mel?
It's been a while.
It has been. A few seconds ago.
I know, right? Deidre, we miss you already, girl. But I wanted to have a little bit of conversation with you when it comes to the wedding industry.
Yes.
All right. So, of course, we all have noticed there's been a change in the industry.
Yeah.
So, from your perspective, how do you feel the change has been for the wedding industry since COVID?
Yeah. So I look at it like this, you know, I think COVID pumped a lot of money into the environment, right? You know, 2020, there were all types of programs available to people and people took advantage of it, you know, and as a result of that, that stimulus really vibrant and revamped the industry where people were spending like a ridiculous amount of money. Like in 2020 and 2021, I was having events and I was like, wow, like the price tags were extreme. So once, what I call it is the money dried out. Depleted. Once the money is now depleted and we're now reshifting, or the industry is where it's supposed to be, I think back from what 2021 brought. So I think 2023 and 2024 was a true depiction of, okay, what 2021 was supposed to be. Like all that money was there in 21 because of COVID, all the stimulus loans and different things like that. And now 2023 is like, okay, now that we've gotten that out of our system, this is where we are. So we have definitely seen, you know, people has really downsized their events, the magnitude, because I had a kid's birthday, I think a 1-year-old birthday party. I think they spent between like $30,000 and $40,000
on a 1-year-old birthday.
On a 1-year-old birthday party. You know, people really went all out, and I was like, wow, you know, those were the golden times, you know. And I think within that time frame, what you should have done was like, okay, well, I know this isn't going to last forever, so I need to invest properly to make sure when we are in drought, I still have water on the table, I still have food on the table.
So we have a lot of creatives that jumped in as the industry was booming around that time. And you can tell some of them have died out. Now for the ones who are continuing, who's persisting to make sure that they keep their brand going, what's your advice in this scenario?
I would say, you know, for people who are consistent with what they're doing, is keep that exact thing. Keep being consistent. You know, don't water down what you have and what you've already created just to try appease a certain market. Because certain example is I'll have inquiries where I have, you know, 2 photography rates. I have a certain package if my team is going to come out and shoot something, or I have a certain package if I'm going to come out and shoot something. Now, if something falls outside of those 2 brackets, like if you want to charge on a per diem and say, hey, I want hourly, that's different. But I am not going to accept something I'm not going to accept something that's outside of what I currently do, because to me, it's not that it's going to downgrade my brand, but it's not going to really bring much of the essence that I'm looking for to showcase. So I would tell you, stay consistent. It's hard. I'll be the first to tell you, it's hard. You know, somebody be like, hey, why shouldn't I take this $2,000 wedding? I can't tell you what to do. I can't. The only thing I can tell you is stay true to the brand, because the reality is we're not going to stay here forever. We're not. And when things pick back up, the quality of work that you've been showing is going to be the quality of clients that you're going to be attracting. So if you said, hey, you know what, my price rate was this and now I'm accepting these lower tier items, now all you're showing is this lower tier item. And now if you're trying to appease back to that higher end client, how are you going to do that? How are they going to be able to communicate and correlate with you? Be like, well, you were charging this, but you're showing this. You know, stay consistent, pivot, create other revenues or create other lanes within what you do in your specialty, and that in itself is going to help you. You know, so if you are a planner and you also have an amazing eye for design, if you can design a blank banquet hall and make it into something festive and beautiful, you should be able to do that into a house. I'm just saying, you know, just be able to pivot and make that shift, because it's critical.
So you have some people where this is their main bread and butter. Okay, and then
right here.
Yes, myself too. But then when the industry shift, as it's been for the past 2-3 years, well, 2 years, where people are not booking as much. Okay, I've seen half of my bookings now from 2 years ago. You mentioning pivot.
Correct.
Is it pivoting into the same industry? Or is it pivoting, looking for something else to do to supplement?
Yeah, so for me, I would look at it, I'll give myself an example. I think when this is morbid, so please excuse me, this is morbid. So when COVID occurred, what my wife and I did was we created a body transport industry or company, body transport company where we are transporting decedents, people who recently passed away. So that's one of the things, because I'm like, hey, a bunch of people are passing away and there's a need. We need to transport these bodies from the funeral home or from the place of death to a funeral home or to the morgue. So that's one thing that I saw an opportunity in it. It's like, hey, listen, this is an opportunity where you can make because of what's going on. But I also saw an opportunity to say, hey, I charge a premium for the quality and for the experience that I bring as a wedding photographer, right? But why can't you also teach other people and say, go out and shoot like this, or go out and do this, and then you just add your touch to it? It's not going to be identical to what you do because it's not you.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you have an opportunity to say, hey, I'm a photographer and I'm at $10,000. But if you have a whole market of 5,000, 4,500, and you can train a team to go out and capture that, then you do that. As a photographer, that's a great way to pivot. Especially if you already have a brand, you already have a name, you can definitely do it that way. But the other thing I look at is, people who are planners and who have an expertise in all things design or in all things restructuring and organizing. It might mean that you pivot into a whole other segment because designing a room correlates with so many other things. You can get into like corporate design, building design, all sorts of different things that you can come in and just design because they're always going to need it. Like, I think a lot of people don't know, this is, extra. A lot of people don't know that a lot of things that the cities do, the airports and all these are things that you can go and bid for with the county. Yeah, you have to do a due diligence, but all these things are there that people don't really think about, hey, there's another lane that I can go into. Because you already have the initial knowledge of putting these things on. So if you're great at weddings and now want to get into corporate events, you can bid for these things with the county or whoever, that you're interested in working with.
So when you say people can bid with the county, you have to be within that same county, or anywhere you are, you can put a bid for, you and Dade, you can put a bid for.
Yeah,
Broward.
so
do you know anything about
I can
that?
only speak about Broward County. So I know the way Broward County works is once you are registered with the Broward County, and it is the Broward County Small Business Administration, something like that. I forget the acronym, but they have bids where if you see somebody cutting grasses for all the libraries, cutting grasses for all the swells in the cities, cutting grasses for all the government buildings, the government don't have enough workers to do all of that. They're looking for lawn service people to go and do that.
Okay.
Same thing with, and this is on a different, like with the prison, the county prison. The prison don't have somebody there to say, hey, we have the juvenile system, we need somebody to come cut their hair. There's a bid for that. For all the things that you think your government needs services, the government has a branch. The county, Broward County has a branch. The city, so the city of Tamarack, city of Fort Lauderdale, Coral Springs, they all have these opportunities where you can go and bid and do certain services for them, and also Broward County.
So you're typically a subcontractor at that point.
You can definitely, and it's even sweeter because let's say, for instance, you provide event planning services, but they also need like a caterer and all these things. So now you can basically be the project manager, and you can subcontract all these different people to come in and create whatever the need is, down to even transportation. So, it's just one of those things you have to think about.
So there's other ways that definitely out there that people can supplement for what they are losing in the wedding industry right now if they were full-time in the wedding industry.
Correct. And then it's all like, it doesn't require anything from me, especially if you already have an established business. It's not like I have to go pay all these fees. It's minimal.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. We're going to take a little break.
Absolutely.
And we'll be right back.
Attention all brides-to-be, elevate your wedding day look with the exquisite bridal jewelry and headpiece from Jules by Charles. Our collection features unique and luxurious design crafted to make you shine on your special day. Follow us on Instagram at Jules by Charles for a glimpse into our stunning creation. Whether you prefer in-person or virtual consultation, we're here to help you find that perfect piece to complement your style. Make your bridal dreams come true with Jules by Charles.
And we're back with Greg. I want to touch back on the job with the county.
Yes.
Is there any specific certification?
Yeah, so with Broward County, and I can only speak on Broward County because that's who we're certified with. So it's the small business enterprise, you know. So with Broward County, you go through their certification program. It's not anything, like I said, extensive. As long as, what's important, you got to pay in CASAM. You need to make sure that you're filing taxes as a business entity. You have to be in business, I think, for 2 years. And within Broward County, and you have to be registered with your city as well, like paying taxes to your city as a business as well.
Okay.
And that's all it takes. And then once that's open to you, you just go in and see what you can fill in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of actually great information.
Yeah.
You know,
free information.
Free information. Free information. Yeah. So take note. Okay. So going back to you as a photographer, I wanted to ask you this. Instagram becomes where people share their work. You know, it's the main place that people share their work.
Correct.
I'm guilty of that, not updating my website.
Ooh, boy.
And where all of my work is on Instagram. So, as a photographer, we have, I should say, as an engaged couple,
yes,
we have couples who just see the first few images and they're excited.
Yes.
And what advice do you have for engaged couples?
Yes.
Because they don't know what they're getting themselves to.
Agree.
When it, you know, with choosing a photographer.
Correct. So, I love that question. I really do. So, my biggest advice to engaged couples is, one, of course, because oftentimes a client may go out and hire a photographer first, right? So if you've already hired your photographer, that's great. But what I'll tell you, do yourself due diligence. Make sure that you are asking for like galleries, because here's the reality. I can have shot a crappy wedding, and between me and my second photographer, let's say we took 2,000 photos. Do you not think that I can't get at least 6 great photos out of that? But everything else is completely like trash? It's possible, you know? So what I'll tell you, like Instagram, yes, shows a very low level of the work, but definitely ask for that gallery because it doesn't hurt. Like, and I'll tell them, hey, listen, show me at least 3 wedding galleries, because any established photographer is going to have a minimum of 3 galleries. And you can look at those galleries just to make sure that that photographer's style resonates with you. You know, because whatever I show you on Instagram, it's going to be the best depiction of me. I don't want to put out anything and be like, nah, they're not going to like it. No, most photographers are putting out the absolute best on Instagram, so I would encourage you to please ask for that gallery. You know, please ask for the gallery, please ask for the gallery, because that gallery is going to give you a true depiction. It's going to show you that photographer's style. It's going to show you a true rendition of, okay, do they edit all the photos? It's going to say, do all these photos have the same mood or the same style? And if you don't see that, then, you know, don't just go off, okay, this is the most popular person or this is the most, you know, sought after person. That's great, but also do the due diligence and look at the work.
And I think you also want to look at how does she do with outdoor versus indoor? Because I've had weddings where, you know,
I love that.
We come from outside, the pictures are gorgeous and everything, and then we move inside, like, is it a different photographer? What the heck is happening here?
And I'm gonna say one more thing to couples, right? So when you go on certain photographers' pages, you'll see this beautiful, light, airy, like the entire page is gorgeous. And the one consistent is every one of those weddings was shot outside, beautiful soft light, beautiful Italian vineyards, beautiful California grape yards, like everything was prestige. You gotta ask yourself, are you gonna bring those same elements? Or is your wedding gonna have that same exact touch and that same exact feel? And if the answer is no, then I would encourage you highly to please double check that photographer, because let's say, for instance, all this photographer shows is beautiful outdoor weddings, beautiful soft light, beautiful natural light, and you're getting married in a banquet hall that don't have any windows. And, you know, the light changes the mood of photography. And I'm talking about artificial light. Artificial light changes the mood of photography. So please, you know, just do the due diligence and just look at it, because it is a difference. You know, if you walk into a banquet hall or you're in a dark hotel, and I think a lot of clients fall in love with like the whole scenery, and they don't think about, okay, well, is my wedding going to replicate this? You know, and that's that. You just want to make sure that you do hire a photographer that's going to be multifunctional, that can operate in both realms. It's going to give you great timeless portraits, but that's going to give you great portraits if the light is nice, or if the light is harsh, or if there's no light at all. You know, you want to look at that just to make sure that person is versatile enough to where they can give you what you want.
And I think also what engaged couples, they need to look at as well is their IG or portfolio is full of just posing pictures.
Yes.
Because on a wedding day, there's a lot of movement.
Yes.
And you need to anticipate those different changes when this is happening, this is happening.
Yep. And
if you go into someone's IG or website, or they send you a gallery and all the pictures are perfectly posed, you need to wonder, how will the party, or when the speech is being done,
what's going to happen?
Or what's going to happen when there's movement, you know?
Yeah. And you said it right. That is extremely important, because when I look at a wedding, it's playing in my mind. Like, there are certain parts of the wedding that you go as a documentary photographer. You are documenting it, just telling a story, right? So my approach is, when I first walk into the getting ready room, I have a conversation with my brides before anything happens. Hey, I want to walk in, I want to make sure that you keep the room tidy. I want to make sure that there's no cups, there's not bundles of food all over the place, because when I deliver your photos, I don't want to depict that there was chaos in his room. That's important. But I've walked into rooms, I've seen that, you know. So I always tell the bride, hey, if you're going to have a massive wedding party, get a suite. Get a place that's going to give you that airy place that we can breathe and you can move around with no issues. But then I also want to just document things that are going. The time I start posing is when I say, hey, let me get some beautiful beauty makeup shots.
Correct.
Or you putting on your earrings, or I see something that you and your mother doing, I'll say, stop there and hold that, you know. And then the next posing opportunity is like when you're doing a formal portraits. Then after that, everything is back to documentary style. And it's good to show those moments. Or the bride's walking down the aisle and she's crying. Or there's a moment where I had one moment where the little sister was crying and the mom was holding, her grandmother was holding her, and I was like, that's impactful.
Not everything, and I'm gonna repeat those same words that she said. I think her name is Kira or Kira. I'll give her proper credit.
Okay.
She says not everything has to slay.
Facts.
You know?
Facts.
There are some moments you just cannot make them up. You know?
You can't.
And you just have to capture it the way it is, raw and in the moment.
Raw emotions.
And when you just want pictures that are just posy, everybody's, you know, to the 10th all the time, and perfectly smooth skin where no pore is visible in your skin.
Flawless. 8.
To me,
no crumbs.
It just doesn't depict a true day for me. Yes, I want some of these shots where they are, you know, flawless. But at the same time, I want to see when Uncle John did a flip. I want to see when my little girl walked down the aisle and then she possibly tumbled or fell or something. You know, whatever it is, because this is what's happening in the moment.
Right now, in the moment.
In the moment.
Absolutely.
But you know, you have to have an experienced photographer to be able to capture these important moments. Because as a planner, I've had photographers where, you know, the client didn't want to, you know, save a couple of $100. They hire a certain photographer, and I'm not discrediting anybody, but it's the lack of experience to know what comes first, second, next. Mind you, I always provide a detailed timeline. But it's kind of like, oh, so what? I can't babysit a professional.
And you shouldn't have to.
That's on set that you are being paid thousands of dollars to do a job. So I think it's important for photographers sometimes in that caliber to shadow or gain more experience and say it to your client. Say, hey, you know what? I'm just starting off, you know, I'm really good and things like that. Or ask them to put somebody, do you have a cousin that can, you know, put this group of people together for me. You have, because as a professional, you have to anticipate, okay, this is the kiss, this is the ring, this is this is that. Okay, if I'm standing in front right here, I'm not getting the best shot, but I'm gonna be here, my second photographer, you're gonna be here to be able to capture all the important moments.
Correct.
But if you're not experienced, you don't know these things.
There's two things in that whole equation. The first one is ego. Ego is one of those things that will keep somebody from ever growing, you know, because again, no matter how much you know, the reality is we're still learning every single day.
Correct.
So a lot of times people who are stuck or stagnant at a certain stage in their careers because their ego won't allow them to go to somebody else that knows something, that does something better to learn from, or just basically study it, you know. And then the second part is like, you know, and it goes back to what you said before. Every bride is not intended to slay. Every bride cannot slay, and that's the bottom line. There are some brides that's just going to be giddy, happy, and that's just, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to document that. You know, everything isn't going to be that vogue or giving face. That's not going to be reality. The reality is, you know, get to know your client, but make sure that you are on top of your game, because it's not like you have a redo tomorrow.
Correct.
There's
that
no redo.
moment, once it's gone, and all you have is your pictures.
Correct.
And your video.
Correct.
Well, guys, this was a beautiful segment with Greg, and we'll be right back again with more. And we are back. Greg.
Yes.
What is a certain amount that you feel that couples should budget
Ooh, I love this question.
for their photography?
Okay. So that question it's loaded, right? So I tell people, you know, there's tiers, you know, like luxury has different tiers, you know, there's ultra luxury, then there's all different tiers, you know. So I look at photography, you know, you got to think about, okay, well, if I'm spending, let's say for instance, you're spending $70,000, $80,000 on your wedding, you know, and I'm not talking about a wedding with like 300-400 people. I'm talking about a wedding with, let's say, 100 people, you know, and you're spending $80,000, you know, but now you've hired all these amazing creative inventors that they've got beautiful floors. You're at this beautiful, let's say you're at the St. Regis by Harbor, you know, where they're charging $400 to $500 a plate, you know, and you have all these amazing things going on, and yet the one thing that's going to last after this, aside from the wedding, are your images. And you're coming in saying, hey, you're going to try, my budget for photography is $3,000, $4,000. You know, I told people, I'm like, you know, the reality is you're going to get what you pay for.
Correct.
You know, one thing that my cousin said to me was like, you know, things that are cheap aren't good, things that are good aren't cheap. You know, so I just think about it like that. And I can't tell a client, hey, what their certain budget is, but I can tell you, like, you know, for me, my associate team will shoot a budget from anywhere from, like, you know, it starts at like $4,500, my associate team. My rate itself starts close to $10,000, you know, but again, that might not be what everybody pays, you know, that might not be with everybody's budget, but the reality is you just have to think about, okay, that's it. Can you find a good photographer for $5,000? You may be able to. There are good photographers that just, and I'm not saying this to throw shade.
They just provide you with the images.
Just the images, you know, they're going to give you images and you're going to do that. Can you find somebody for $5,000? You absolutely can, you know, but if I see, here's the way I judge it. If we have 52 weeks in a year, right? And you are shooting 60 to 70 weddings a year, then you're too cheap. You're too cheap. If we have 52 weeks in a year and you're shooting, let's say, 30 weddings or 25 weddings, and you are good, you're comfortable with that, and you do this full time, and this is your only thing, then you're good, you know? And it's even better when you have that, and because I can tell you this, I know a planner who basically plans things, and she plans 6 events a year. And she deals with very high net worth people. 6 events a year. That's my goal, you know, to shoot 10 weddings a year. That's my goal. So I can't tell a client what that budget is. The budget is based on what you deem that's important. But just think about it. If you spent all this money on everything else, $20,000-$30,000 on some of these wedding gowns, and yet you're now saying, oh, you know what? The thing that's going to be that lasts the longest, which are your images, aside from the marriage itself, how can I skimp on that? You know, so that's my answer. Because it ranges, you know, on region, it ranges where you are.
As a planner, and I've worked with a lot of photographers, I would say if you are, of course, granted, you know, you would need to take a look at the portfolios, making sure that you're comfortable with the images that you are seeing.
Correct.
I do think $5,500, $6,500 is a great starting point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is a great starting point. Now, are you going to get the album and the this and all of that?
And that's what's important.
Possibly no.
Correct. That's what's important.
But you're going to have the images, and possibly later on, when you're ready, you can have the album done out of these images. Yeah. But I think 55, 65, it's a good starting point for people to budget.
And there's tiers, you know, because like I said, I know a photography company now that starts at 12. You know, 12,000 is just basically them coming out to shoot, and you're going to get low resolution images. And low resolution images simply means that they're good for Facebook, they're good for, you know, sharing online, but they've done it strategically that way so that you can't blow up these images and create an album and blow up prints. Because now if you want these things, you need to come back and you got to pay for them, which, you know, but again, they service a very certain clientele. Their clientele are coming in, they're spending a minimum of like 17, 18 with them because that's what they do.
Let me understand what you just said. $12,000, that's where they start.
Correct.
And the images are low
res. Now keep in mind, a lot of people think low resolution images means that I'm going to post this on social media, it's going to look like crap. No, every single thing on my social media page can be low res. It's not that, it's the internet. Where are we viewing this? We're viewing it on our cell phone, we're viewing it on a computer screen, so it's
Which I understand, but I still want to feel like I'm getting a 10 by 10, 10 by 20, 20 by 20 out of the images.
But it goes back to what we talked about. It goes back to tiers. You know, these people are dealing to a very specific clientele. Okay. You know, so if again, these budgets or these weddings, they're ultra luxury weddings. They're not $150,000. They're like $200,000+. You know, so like one of the great photographers, Jose Villa. You know, he is incredible. And I think, and I don't know how true it is, but on one of the websites had his race started at like 50,000. You know, Jose is incredible, and those are goals. Those are goals. You know, Jose Villa, he just shot this beautiful wedding. It's all over the internet right now. His work is incredible, but he has a certain clientele that values what he does, and as a result of that, they're willing to pay for his rate. And that's how I feel about my peers. I feel that some of my peers are absolute phenomenal creators. You know, I just feel that they need to slow down, charge more, because they have the work. They've had the time in. Yeah. The quality of work is there. The quality of clients is there. So bring in there. But, you know, that's a whole nother question, a whole nother topic for another day. Definitely
a whole different day for this. But I think they're getting there. Yeah, you know, I think they're getting there. With the pressure of having this as your main job, you're trying to book as many weddings as possible. Correct. But I think at some point, and I became to realize that as well, that you cannot really give your all and provide great customer service, provide great product when you have too many bookings.
Correct. And like I said, the other thing, I stick to this, if you're busy every single weekend, or if any small, like if anyone can say, hey, I'm just going to hire you, going to be my wedding photographer, it just means that you're too cheap. That's my reality. It means that you're too cheap, because it's like, I just feel that.
They like the work, and then I
love the work. People, and like, why do people go to Christian Louboutin or Tom Ford and buy them? Some of those shoes are so uncomfortable. I've seen a bride wear some Tom Ford shoes and she couldn't even walk in it, but she paid $1,600 for them. Because of the prestige, the name, you know, and all I'm saying is, because of that prestige and because of that name, people are willing to pay.
Correct.
You know, people go to Mindy Wise. Mindy Wise isn't cheap. You know, people go to some of the peers that we have, you know, like Luke Spett with Natalie, like they go to her because it's a prestige. I want that. I want that experience, you know? So I think it's the same thing with photography. It's like, once we have come to that rationalization to say, you know what, I am worth this, then I can go into another market where I don't now have to shoot 60 weddings a year, and I can shoot 20 weddings a year and make the same amount of money.
Correct.
Because that's a reality that it exists.
Yeah,
you know?
no, definitely.
Yeah.
So what's a style of photography you would like to see back? Because now I think everybody's stuck in one look, to me. I'm sorry to say. I think we're stuck in one. And certain things I'd like to see back.
What do you miss? What do you miss?
I miss the soft black and white look.
Ooh, black and white is beautiful. Yeah.
I love the
black and
retro
white,
look.
and they're timeless. And it's funny that you say that because all wedding photos are in black and white. Like, so it's just one of those things. I 100% agree with that. I think with black and white, there are a few elements that go into making a beautiful black and white image. You know, the proper lighting is needed. Like if you have a room that is full of beautiful windows, full of beautiful natural light coming in, that is like a great element for like black and white. If you have a venue that is properly lit where pin lights are set up and then the bride and groom is having their first dance and it's lit properly, and you can transfer that image into a black and white image. Like I said, it takes a few things to accomplish it, but when it's done, it's great. But we as photographers, we can control some of that, some of it.
And that's what I was gonna say. Before it got so technical, you know, now
it was always being done.
It was always being done.
Yeah.
But now you guys, I don't know the proper, you know, terms, but you guys measure things differently when it comes to lighting and then the editing.
And honestly, it shouldn't be, because the reality is like some of the most, well, all of the most timeless images that we look back to in photography, they're all black and white. They're all black and white.
Correct.
You know, so my thing is, but if you look at those images and look at the atmosphere in which they were created, that will start telling you why it may not be happening. And I think maybe because of the clientele, maybe that's not what they want. Because there's certain clientele that tells you, I want black and white, I want film, I want this certain look. But that's all part of the dialogue that you're going to have with your client to say, okay, this is it. But I'm with you. Black and white, that epic, you know, just something timeless. I want to look at a photo 20 years, 30 years from now, like some of these black and white images that I look at and be like, wow, this is everything, you know?
It's timeless.
It is.
So I'm going to have a speed round with you.
Speed. Pew, pew,
okay?
pew, pew.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right?
God, this could be dangerous. Jeez.
I'm going to need my phone for this. All right. Hotel or Airbnb?
Ooh, man, we had this. Hotel. Hotel suite.
Indoor or outdoor wedding?
South Florida? Outdoor wedding in the winter.
Outdoor wedding in the winter.
Yes.
That's it?
Yes,
okay.
South Florida.
And anything else? Indoors?
Oh, I mean, I love indoors, but it's for me, outdoor ceremonies is epic, yeah.
Okay. Do you bring a list of poses with you when you go to do your wedding?
So that's hard because things move so fast in weddings, so sometimes you're not there. So if you want a list of poses or a client has a list, what I'll tell you, make sure like in your questionnaire, in your conversation with the client, you go through. But as a photographer, you know it's going to be shots with, but I've had it where it's like, oh, I don't want to be next to my ex-husband, that is my child's father, but I don't want to be next to him, and I have a client that... You know, it is what it is, but it's you know, you understand. You have to have the conversation where it's like, you know, I'm not going to pose you right next to each other, or, you know, if you're okay with it.
Do you prefer a list or no list?
For me, I do want to know what my client want when it comes to family photos. And I also want to know what my client expect of me. So it doesn't have to be a list, it can be a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. Candid
shot or pose?
Ooh, can we do both? I like candids because candids are a powerful moment because those are the moments. Like with the bride's father crying, that who's never emotional, that's candid. But then a bride that's on a mountain slaying to the gods, yes.
Definitely.
So I'll take both. I'll take both. I'll take both. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Large bridal party or small bridal party?
Small.
You didn't even think about that.
Tiny bridal party.
Oh, it's same
No
here.
bridal party. No bridal party.
Listen, same here. Small bridal party, you know, 4 people, you know, 4 to 6 people, the most.
I tell people, it's like, hey, if you have 20 people in your wedding party, I can 100% tell you 5 of those people aren't really there for you. That's just what I'm saying. I can just, you do the math yourself.
And to tell you the truth, it's just, again, as a planner, it's the conversations that I've had with brides,
Sometimes it's forced.
Some brides with having large bridal party, and the conversations are not always, you know, the most pleasant. It's kind of, oh, I should have done things differently, you know? Like I said, some brides, I'm not putting anybody out, you know?
I can tell you, I've had a bridal party in the past where everyone was laughing, but there was one bride who's just scolding the whole time. I was like, wow. So I didn't ask any question. I just took the pictures and look at each other laughing, getting close, girls love each other. I was like, okay, I can't do nothing about this.
Hey.
That's why I tell you, small bridal parties, if you had nobody, you wouldn't have that problem.
Okay, so what's more important, being on time or one more shot?
I'm infamous for this. One more shot. One more shot.
Which turned into like 15 more shots and another 30-minute session.
But you know how we can avoid that? First look. First look.
Hey.
We'll go back to that.
Hey, listen, the decor, the reveal goes the same way.
Facts.
I'm always getting one more shot, and then 20 minutes later, you know, I'm getting the eye from the...
But you know who loves the gallery after? The planner and the client.
Yes, we do.
Oh my God, these images.
Yes, we do. Okay, well,
You're with me.
I'm with you on that.
Just take one more. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay. Fun and easygoing couple or couples with specific demands?
I like fun, easygoing clients only because it allows creativity to flow. When someone starts to tell you what they want, and I'm okay with that. Tell me what type of shots, what direction you want, that's it. But when somebody starts telling you, no, I don't want this, I want to start doing that, then it starts to become like buyer's remorse and like, oh boy. Because if you took 1,000 great shots, but yet they didn't see the one shot that you didn't take, it's like, okay, none of those other shots mattered, you know, so.
And I always think that as a creative, let me do my job.
Yeah, it cuts into that creative flow because I've had it where, you know, I've had it where I've had a planner come with me on shoots and they wanted to take over and dictate the shoot. So that, I'm like, hey, listen, let me do you a favor. Here's my camera. Go ahead and do what you got to do.
I like that.
I'll be over there. You just let me know when you're ready, and I'll come hold your light. I'll do whatever you want. You know, because I'm like, no, this is not how this works. You know. So.
And if everybody knows Greg, they know you're good for details.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, come on. I'm going to take care of you. You're fine.
Yeah. No, let us do our job. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're definitely going to listen. We want to listen. We want to hear everything that you want for your day.
Correct.
But we have ways to bring it out as well. As a creative, we don't want to repeat different things from other weddings. As some clients will ask you, I want this, and we're okay. Yeah,
because I tell clients, let me make it yours.
Exactly.
You know, let's not do it exactly like that. Let me make it yours.
Yeah.
You can take some inspiration from it, but I'm not going to do exactly this. Like, come on.
Exactly, and then don't put us in a box.
Oh yeah.
You know that we're restricted with this and this and this and that.
Yeah, that's not how my mind works.
It really kills your creativity.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Greg, this was such a great conversation.
Always.
It was definitely a pleasure to have you.
I'm honored to be here, so thank you for opening up your doors and allowing me to be on the show.
Thank you for coming in, bringing in your beautiful wife.
Yeah,
and,
she's still lost, but it's okay.
You think she lost?
I'm hoping the polls get it right, but we'll see.
The polls gonna tell us.
That's right.
But thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, for being here. Guys, this was our third part with Mr. Greg.
Jeez.
Yes, third.
You did a lot.
With Mr. Greg Jules. So we hope that all this information that we brought to you today serves you. We touch on many different aspects, how to pivot, and you can actually probably, I'm gonna put you out there.
Holla.
Reach out to him.
Holla.
For any questions that you may have, you know, about, you know, anything that he's mentioned today. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the show today, the Before the Veil.
The sound effects.